After my first travel across the eastern US, camping under the wing, I was hooked. That was exactly the trip, my version of a barnstorming trip, that I had always dreamed of. And of course I wanted more, even though a second trip was neither in my original plans nor in my budget. But you know how it is with newly developed addictions. Fortunately, there were still some greenbacks in my piggy bank, and those seduced me into seriously thinking about one last adventure. But before I could even start any planning, I wanted to make sure that Whiskey Blue was in perfect condition. After all, this unresolved cause of the strange hiccup of the engine during a takeoff halfway through my trip was still lingering in the back of my mind. Hey, I'm Wolf, a retired physicist and a glide and tailwheel pilot. So we decided to do a 100-hour inspection and take a very close look at the engine. And when Greg had done the oil change, he found stardust. I mean, tiny ferrous chips in the pleats of the oil filter. Where did that come from? The results of the following oil analysis didn't give any clue whatsoever. Did the metal come from the camshaft or the cam followers? Heaven forbid, because that would mean teardown of the engine and big bugs. Digging deeper revealed some damage on the exhaust valve spring of cylinder 2. And when we looked at the data of the engine monitor for that particular cylinder, we found some occasional really strange behavior of the cylinder head temperature and the exhaust gas temperature. So putting all this together, we decided to replace that cylinder. Ouch. There, my travel budget was taking a serious hit. And then there was a test flight, and when Greg called me, it was one of those typical good news, bad news kind of messages. Yes, there was more power, but no, the vibrations were not gone at all. They were still there. More head scratching, more talks to and more questions for the experts, more adjusting, more fixing, repeated test runs. It started to remind me of this instruction on sheet music, da capo al fine, repeat until the end. Unfortunately, the repeat part here did not only refer to the repairs, it also referred to my paying bills. And slowly, this fantasy of one last adventure disappeared together with the dollar bills from my banking account. And then there was one last observation with potentially a plausible explanation for the strange behavior of the O300. We found some burnt oil on another exhaust valve. Did that come from a worn rocker shaft bushing perhaps? Yes? No? Maybe one last hoop to jump through? When Greg called me with the results, I could tell from the tone in his voice that there was no good in his message. No success whatsoever, he said. Actually, those vibrations have gotten worse, and I think it's not safe anymore to fly this bird. Ah, shit, we really had come to the end of it. We had to find a different approach. But what was it? We gave ourselves ample of time to look for all kinds of options and discuss which ones to take. And if you want to know which those options were and which I chose, come back for my next video. Thanks for watching and see you then.